Yeah, welcome everyone. So to lots of you will be familiar with my face by now if you've attended a few of our webinars before. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm Anna Coburn, formerly Anna Daly, if you recognise that name as well. I did get married recently. So I'm the manager of the European account management team, and I've been at House for almost 9 years. And my team specialise in all things marketing and the business management software that we offer. And I'm really, really excited to introduce you to our topic, Know Your Business to Grow Your Business, and our speaker today, Katy. So Katy is the CEO and founder of Design and Align, providing coaching and business education and thought leadership to designers around the world. So a bit about her background. So after 10 years managing a multi-million-pound investment project in London City Hall, followed by 7 years running a successful interior design studio, Katy now supports designers at every stage of business, from strategy to marketing, pricing, positioning, systems, hiring, you name it, she can help you with it, in order to help business owners create success and freedom in their life. So Katy's coaching is a powerful combination of proven strategy and mindset mastery, because as you'll hear from Katy today, you do need both to succeed. One word before we begin. Please add your questions into the chat as we go. I will keep tabs of them and I'll monitor them, and Katy and I will go through them at the end of the session. So yeah, do send them in as you think of them, and then we'll answer them after. And so yeah, without further ado, I'll hand it over to Katy to get started.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you very much for having me. Well, very big welcome to everybody who's joining live. It's so lovely to see some familiar faces in the chat as well. I'm going to talk for about 40 minutes. Anna, feel free to shout at me if I'm going over that. And then we'll have plenty of time for Q&A at the end, because I really want to make sure that you've got time to ask good questions. Let me just share my screen with you, because I've got some slides that I want to go through with you. All right. So welcome to Know Your Business to Grow Your Business. As Anna says, I'm Katy Stevenson Bretton. She's given the intro, so I'm not going to go over that more just now, but I'll tell you a little bit more about myself as we go through. What I really want you to get out of today is a recognition of the context in which you're operating your business. So if you're here running your interior design business in the UK or further afield, maybe you're on holiday, Rob, but you face a number of growth challenges. There are things that are specific to this marketplace and this industry that present particular challenges. And there are also broader challenges that are common to any small business. I would then want to go through with you the foundations of what a successful and profitable interior design business needs to have in place. Business is actually not that complicated. It's that understanding of what the moving parts are, which I'm going to give you today. And then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what you can do right away. And some of that will come from you in terms of questions. So if you've got questions, this is where I'm at, what do you think? I've got you and I'm happy to answer them. So here's what you're up against in running your business. You're operating in a very crowded market. A lot of people want to be interior designers. A lot of people are interior designers. There are lots of people operating in different sizes, shapes, and forms of interior design business setup. What that means is the law of supply and demand is not on your side. Whatever type of services you're offering, any element of bespoke design has to be, it is labor intensive by its nature, and therefore it has to be expensive. Expensive is subjective. We can talk about exactly what that means, but it is only available to people who have the money to invest in this service. It is not the same as going to buy a pint of milk. So we've got this supply and demand dynamic where there are a certain number of people, families, individuals who have the budget, have the means, and can also see the value in spending their money in this way. Remember, everybody who has money, not everybody values good design like we do. So there is this supply and demand dynamic where you are in a crowded marketplace. And it's really important that you grow your business and are intentional about positioning your business to stand out in that marketplace as the perfect designer for your client. Second thing, none of us are born knowing how to run a successful business. A lot of us come into our business with this feeling of overwhelm and imposter syndrome and I should know how to do this. Everybody else seems to be successful and I don't know what I'm doing. And I really want to reassure you that that is totally cool. You're not born knowing how to do this. They do not teach this in design school, but that does mean it's on you to learn this stuff, to figure out, how do I market and sell my services? How do I take someone from being interested to becoming a client? How do I make my services profitable? How do I run my business in a way that is efficient and effective? That is now on you as the leader of your business to learn that stuff. Third thing, a lot of us were told when we were younger, there was this vibe. It's a very British thing, but it's broader as well. Don't be a show off. Nobody likes somebody who's too big for their boots. And that permeates our subconscious. And when we come to business ownership, we can often have this feeling of, I shouldn't talk about myself. I shouldn't be too loud. I shouldn't put myself out there. But the fact is, this makes marketing and selling your services really tricky because you have to let people know how good you are and how you can help them. So showing off in this context is totally appropriate. And that can be a real mindset block for people. The fourth thing I want to mention, as I've touched on already, interior design is an extremely labor-intensive process. There was a whole move a number of years ago now, which a lot of designers have come back from, which is, I want to make design affordable and accessible to everybody. Tricky. Not impossible, but tricky. And you're talking about a very different model from the traditional interior design business model, which is largely bespoke. Anything bespoke has to be expensive. Again, subjective term, but it cannot be design on a shoestring. The minute you start working with a client in a way which is, give me the brief, tell me what you like, what you don't like, I'll come up with bespoke solutions, we can tweak and change, that is labor intensive and you have to charge accordingly. And also without proper systems, you're setting yourself up for so much project admin in running your projects, because every single small moving part in a project, every single bespoke item, trim, item you've ordered from that supplier, this supplier, there's a lot of admin that goes with that. So you really need to have proper systems in place. It is not 1980. It's not 2000. There is so much fantastic business software out there, and you need to know what that is and make use of it, which just leads to a much better client experience. And then I've touched on pricing already, but not only do you need to be able to get your head around the fact that anything that is bespoke has to be expensive, you have to be really clear on your pricing. Because even if you don't know the price of a project before you've actually got to send the proposal to a client, because if it's a bespoke project, it should be a bespoke fee, you need to have that clarity and that certainty yourself about how you're going to come up with that fee and how you will explain that to your client. Any hint of wobbly, uncertain, I'm not sure how I'm going to price this, a client will jump on, not because they're awful, but because they sense that uncertainty and they sense that you're not strong in what you're going to charge them. So they sense the opportunity to bring the price down. Everybody, all of the time, are looking for ways to, how can I get something for less? How can I survive in this world? How can I thrive? How can I make my home so much better for less money? So you need to be really strong and secure on what you're doing with your charging. And that is so much to do with mindset as it is with the actual strategy itself. So that is some context with which I'm going to go through the foundations that I would really like you to get in place in your business, because this is all completely solvable. It might seem like a mountain right now, but it is absolutely solvable. So before I jump into that, Anna's already introduced me, but as she's mentioned, I come from a background where I've run multi-million-pound projects. So I've come with this strategic overview. When I worked in City Hall, we were planning on 25, 30-year time horizons and huge budgets, public realm projects, infrastructure. I did a lot of work around the Olympic Games. And I realized that actually, when I had my first son, I really wanted to do something that allowed me a lot more flexibility and also the challenge of doing something a lot more immediate. It's very satisfying seeing a wall of tiles going up in a day when you've been planning things on a 25-year time horizon. So I left my City Hall career. I trained in interior design. I ran my studio for 7 years. It was a fantastic experience, first on my own, then with a business partner. And that really gave me both sides of the coin, what it is to take something and grow it from yourself at your kitchen table, which was me, to actually having a business partner, a studio, a small team, and really having to think about profitability and expenses and cash flow and all of the things. Another designer asked me to help her with her business, and that was what led me into first consulting and now coaching, where, as Anna says, I focus very, very much on the mindset just as much as the strategy part. So do come and say, if we're not connected on Instagram, I love hearing from you. Come and say hi. It's @design_align. Connect with me there. Drop me a DM. I absolutely love getting to know everybody who's come into my world in any way. So let's start with this premise. At the heart of every interior design business, there's this cycle, and essentially at the heart of every business, people need to be aware of you. There's this visibility. You need to be visible to the people you're here to serve. You then need to be able to move people from seeing you, knowing about you, they're aware of you, to becoming a lead. That's the point at which someone will make an inquiry, or they'll be checking out your website in some way. They're interested. And this is a part of the process where it's really important that we're able to provide the information people need to make the right decision for them to pay you money, to work with you, and to move somebody from that place of never heard of you before in my life to, okay, this is interesting. I'm going to make an inquiry, or I'm going to check out your website or look through your Instagram, to actually signing a contract or buying a service through your website. That is then a sale. So there is this process where we're moving people, and it's not going to be every person. This is your funnel. This is where you'll have a lot of people at the top who know about you. Only so many of them will think, yeah, that could be the right solution for me and my property. These are then people who potentially become leads, a smaller number, and then some of them will become sales. We do not want to stop at this point. It is so easy and tempting, especially in interior design, when you can get to the end of a really long project and think, I never want to see you again. But it is really hard to find new clients compared to looking after existing clients really well. And a lot of what the work I do with designers is thinking, how can we expand your business model to support people again and again? Sure, if you've done a whole renovation for somebody, they're not going to come back to you 6 months later and go, cool, can we do that again? But what might they need? What other services could you offer that allows you to continue to serve existing clients? Because it's way easier to make money from an existing client than it is to always be on the cycle of finding a new client. And the second thing is, how can you encourage referrals? How can you proactively be supporting the people who you're working with and encouraging them to refer you to other people, whether that's clients, contractors, suppliers? We want to be feeding that top part, the visibility part, just as much from people we're working with as from what I would call cold traffic, people who've never heard of you before. Everybody, think of any service you've bought into. If it came with a personal recommendation, I bet that process from becoming aware of the person to paying the money was way faster than if it was completely cold, I've never heard. You need to get to know somebody. So we really want to be using referrals to drive our visibility just as much as people who've never heard of us ever. And essentially, this process of business, it is all about bringing more people into the top part of your funnel. So more visibility means more chances for people to see what you do, more conversations, more opportunities to turn those people into clients. And that is also what allows you to do the work you love and get paid and create the revenue that you want for your business. When I talk about strong foundations in business, it is very much two parts. There is the strategy part, and there is your inner game, and mindset is part of this, but it runs deeper than this. So on the strategy side, everything starts with this clarity of vision. So where do you want to go? And you might have a picture in your mind of the kind of business you would like to have. You're going to have where you are right now, and you might have a picture in your head of, if we were doing this masterclass 5 years from now, what would you love it to be? Where would you like to be sitting? What kind of people would you like to be working with? What kind of projects would you like to be doing? Knowing what that means for you, knowing where you're headed is really important, because without that, you just kind of drift. You need to know your business model. You need to be positioned really well. As I said, it's a very competitive market. So being able to stand out as the person for your ideal client is so crucial. It's then lead generation. So when you've got a lot of people who are aware of you, what are you proactively doing to turn those eyes into getting inquiries? A lot of designers come to me at the point where they've run their business to a certain time saying, I've had a lot of word of mouth referrals. All of my works come from word of mouth, but I kind of know that that's not sustainable. And it's not. Word of mouth is fantastic. I want to be really clear about that. Anyone who recommends you to somebody tells me that you're doing an amazing job. And if people are prepared to recommend you, that is fantastic. But it's not enough. And it's also a very unstable place to run your business from mentally, because you're constantly on the back foot. You're constantly waiting for other people to act rather than being proactive and taking moves, making moves to generate leads yourself. When you have those leads, you need a sales strategy. We don't want every single inquiry that comes to us either to be, oh, let's have a chat and cross our fingers and hope for the best. Nor do we want to just think, well, I'm sure they'll find their way at some point. I don't want to sell to anybody too much because I don't want to be too pushy. We want to find that balance between having a very clear process that isn't shoving our services down somebody's throat, but it is leading people from, okay, you're interested. This is the right thing for you. Let me take you to the next step. And I'll talk more about that as we go on. Pricing is a critical part of your strategy, and also client experience. So making sure you're providing an incredible experience. And then you've got everything on the inner game part, knowing your purpose, being intuitive. And when I say purpose, I mean your bigger purpose in running this business. Being able to make intuitive decisions, being able to make fast decisions is really important. As a business owner, you have to make multiple decisions, not just what grout to go with that tile, but all sorts of decisions to grow your business. And you need to be really connected to yourself and not just looking around and thinking, who can tell me what to do? You need to be able to do that for yourself. You need to be really aligned to your energy. What works for somebody won't work for somebody else. Some of us wake up in the morning with a Duracell bunny energy. Other people, I can do 2 hours of full-on focused work and then I'm tired and I need a break. Money mindset is critical to everything that you're going to do in this business, to pricing, to selling, particularly in an interior design business context where often you will be selling services that you may not be able to afford yourself, or you'll be selling services that would never have been an option for your family to buy. That is a very common place for this type of service. And it's something where designers really have to get their head around thinking, how can I charge that much? That seems like so much money to me. It might be a lot of money for you, but that doesn't mean it's not valuable and exactly the right price for the service you're selling. So there's a lot of money mindset shifts that have to be made for you to sell your services profitably. You have to be prepared to try new things. You have to cultivate that muscle of being willing to try without the certainty that it will work out. You don't know whether that marketing will work. You don't know whether that investment in that coach will work. You don't know whether going and standing on that stage and speaking at that event or going to that networking event will be a good use of your time until you try it, until you go in and think, this feels aligned for me in my business. This feels like it's taking me in the direction, so I'm going to try it. And equally, things are going to go wrong. Projects are going to fall away. Clients are going to, try and not pay you. You're going to have all sorts of challenges that come up. And if we always default into, oh, this is a nightmare, this doesn't work for me, I'm terrible at business, my business is going to fail, you're not going to go anywhere. You have to cultivate that resiliency. I create my own success and I'm going to keep going. I can pick myself up and I can keep moving forward. And across all of that, it's this consistency. There's no use at all in saying, okay, I'm really excited. I'm going to do my whole house profile and I'll get it all up there and brilliant, that's done. And then off you go. And 2 years later, the house profile hasn't been touched at all. It hasn't been updated. There's no new images there, nothing new to see. Same with Instagram, LinkedIn. Something goes up there. Great, I've posted 3 times in 3 weeks. Amazing. And then silence for 6 months. Whatever consistency means to you, I will never tell you 5 reels a day or posting every single day, but be consistent. Make sure that what you're putting out into the world is fresh and is updated. That is one of the quickest stumbling blocks where someone will go, oh, I thought they looked really good, but they haven't posted for 2 years, so maybe they're not even in business anymore. We need to be consistent. Okay, let me talk a bit more around some of these particular things. So when we talk about purpose and vision, your purpose is why you're doing this. It's the North Star that guides your decision making, and it's the driving motivation behind your actions. Money is not your purpose. Yes, you want to make money. I want you to make money, but it's not your purpose. Think of purpose as being, it's like a goal that serves other people. And it very much, this works for me hugely, is on the days where it does feel hard and you think everything feels like it's going wrong, nothing feels like it's working, why am I even doing this? Your purpose is what will keep you going. So often designers will talk to me about that desire to transform spaces, that desire to make a real difference in their clients' lives. You'll have something that will feel relevant and resonate for you. You need to know what that is. And it's often a lot bigger than just the immediate, well, I just want to turn this room from that to that. As I said, the vision is linked to your purpose, but it's the goal you've got in your head. Is where do you want your business to be? Imagine we were sitting here 1 year from now, 3 years, 5 years from now. What do you see? Where do you want to take this? It's really important that you have this. And also you have clarity on what you will be doing in that business, what your role will be. Okay, next foundational block, and it is so important because everything stems from this place, is who are you here to serve? This is your ideal client. And this is not about, oh, well, this is who's in front of me right now, I'm going to settle for this person. It's who will you do your best work for? What feels so exciting to you? But also there will be some practicalities. Well, where are they? There'll be potentially some geographical parameters where you say, I don't want to be more than 30 minutes travel time from home, or I could do the whole of the UK, but it would be impossible for the season of life I'm in right now to go outside of the UK. Or you have no constraints. You say, I can work anywhere. But you need to have that clarity so that when inquiries come in, you know instantly, is it a yes or is it a no? But beyond the practicalities, what sort of person are they? What is it that they really want? And it's not what they're telling you a lot of the time. Well, I want a nicer bathroom. I want a new kitchen. I want more storage. There is something beneath this desire that is a more emotional driver to the project, they want to feel proud of their home. They're embarrassed when friends come round. They have this image in their head of lovely, cozy Christmases as a family. And right now, the house doesn't fit that image they have. So there's always something going on below this. And what are they scared of? You need to know this. If they're terrified of going over budget, if they're terrified of it taking longer than they have, if they're terrified of their time being sucked away from their career or their family or whatever, you need to understand this, because this is important when it comes to your sales. And how will you powerfully position yourself so that they see you as the designer for them? Whoever you are here to serve has to see you as the solution. Often people will talk to a couple of designers. Often they will look at different options for solving their problem. But ideally, you want to be so powerfully positioned that there's no question. It's just, I want to work with Katy. She's the one for me. That's where you want to get to. And the more specific you are, without ruling out lots of options, but the more specific you are, the easier your marketing becomes. It's way easier to create content and messaging the more targeted and specific you are. The next thing you need to be really clear on is what you're selling. So the services that you offer your clients, often we can start our business and think, well, I'll just do design work. And that's great. But if we're reinventing the wheel for every single client and every single project, even if they don't need anything that big and they just want a very light touch, can you just come around and help me with a few suggestions? If every single time we do that, we're thinking, how much should I charge for this? I'm not sure. Is it too far away? Should I do it or not? That is so much mental energy going into something that you're not going to charge very much for. So the more we can be smart and strategic with working out our services in advance, the quicker we can be and the more targeted and specific we can be with our marketing and telling people what they are. A lot of designers will say, I only do the whole house. I just really want to do whole houses. And I get that. I totally get the excitement and the joy of being handed a whole house and just, get on with the whole thing. And you can think about the whole thing as one piece. It is the dream. But there's a couple of problems with this. One is that those projects are fewer and further between. So you're going to have a lumpier cycle of leads and sales and cash flow if that's all you do. That if something goes wrong on any of your projects, if something stalls, if I've had this in my business, a client suddenly got made redundant and they just we don't have the money to do this. The whole, we did half the project, but it ended up being completely phased. Anything that goes wrong if you've got 2, 3, maybe 4 big projects, that's a much riskier position to be in than if you have money coming in different ways from different places. So I'm a huge proponent of offering lighter touch services so that you can make money in different ways and you can spread the risk across your business. You can also serve your clients. As we talked about before, if you've done the whole house for somebody, they don't want you to do the whole house again 6, 12 months from now, but they may love you to come in and style it for them, or they may really just want, okay, 2 years later, we just want to change a kid's bedroom because the kid is no longer into Barbies and they're now into whatever, Minecraft or whatever they're into. So if you're there saying, nope, can't help you because I only do the whole house, you're shutting off a lot of opportunities. And by offering these lighter touch consultations, you immediately have a lead generator where someone can get to know you, get to know your vibe. If you do a fantastic job on something light touch, you will be the first person they will think of when it comes to the bigger project. So working out what your suite of services look like in a way that is really aligned to you, not doing a styling service because that's what 2 other designers in your network are doing. If you hate styling, don't do styling. But we want to really, this is the work I do with clients, especially is figuring out what are you selling? What does that look like for you? What services serve your clients and you will love to deliver and will be profitable and will allow you to spread your risk and make money in different ways. This is really important. How will people know about you? And this is more about your marketing. So this isn't your ideal client. You've got your dream client in your mind, but you need to have a target market. If you are worked out what your geographical parameters are and the kinds of people and the kinds of properties, this becomes your target market. And you need to know what these optimum marketing channels are for those people. There are so many platforms now. I say to all of my clients, make sure you are on House. I'm assuming all of you guys are because you're here, but Anna and I were talking yesterday. House is a fantastic search engine. Often, if I just look at purely out of interest in my area, think, oh, interior designers, let's see who's doing what. Often the House profile will be the first thing that comes up. So I always advocate House will be part of your marketing strategy, but it won't be the only marketing channel. And working out exactly the best route to get to the people you're here to serve, whether that's online, offline, cold traffic, so people who've never heard of you before, to what I'd call warm traffic, so more through networking and your existing relationships. All of this will be important, and it's working out what's the correct blend for you of channels and what's going to actually be the best combination of where you put your energy right now. In an ideal world, we would be everywhere. If you look at Kelly Hoppen, she's on TikTok and YouTube and probably, Instagram, obviously, all the places. And she probably has a whole team of people editing all of these videos for her. If you're at the stage where I can't be in all of those places, you need to be smart and strategic about where you are. And the way you answer is well, where are my people? Who do I need to get in front of? And point here, we really want to keep in mind that our goal is to grow our visibility. We want more people to be aware of us. We are not interested in followers for followers' sake. That does nothing for our business. We are growing an audience of prospective clients, and then we are nurturing that audience with content that's going to make them see us as, this is the designer I want to work with. I really want that for my home. And when they do that, we want to be there, ready and waiting with that process that converts leads into clients. This is your sales strategy and your pricing. This is where we want to create a customer journey where you're essentially taking any inquiry that comes in and leading them through a process and it is a two-way process. You get to ask questions of them to understand, is this going to be the right fit for you? And you get to provide the information that they need to understand if you're the right fit for them. There are questions that you can ask. There are stages of this process, and it's knowing what that process needs to look like for your business and having the confidence to lead people along it. So the next step is always just the logical next step. Okay, we've done a discovery call together. Great, this is all feeling good. Okay, what's the next step? I'll come and see the property and take a fuller brief so I can prepare a proposal. You're not jumping into bed with somebody straight from the jump. Okay, yes, I can help you. Okay, let me send you a fee proposal. No, there's lots of stages that happen between that, and knowing what that is and having something that is consistent in your business is really important. And throughout all of it, building that know, like, and trust. So your clients really, they've got that rapport with you. They really feel that shared understanding of what it is they want to achieve. Everybody will move at their own pace. You will have somebody who will get in touch with you and say, good, can you start next week? And you'll have somebody who 2 years later is like, I'm still thinking about it. Oh, I don't know. That is fine. It's not our job to manipulate people's timelines. Our job is to be visible, to provide the information people need, but also to do it in a very efficient way for us. So we're not investing 10 hours and backwards and forwards on email for 3 weeks for somebody who's clearly not ready. There's a strategy to all of this. And then when we get somebody who becomes our client, we really want to make sure that we're delivering an exceptional service. And I really, truly believe that starts with the intentionality from you. A brilliant service doesn't just happen, and you will know yourself from any creative you've worked with, whether it's a web designer or a brand designer or even an architect or people you've employed on your own home. The process can be great and it can be terrible. As I mentioned at the beginning, there is incredible project management software out there now, specifically for designers. You need to be using systems like this that make your clients' lives better. No client who has the big budgets that you want to be working with has the time or the patience to be paying invoices that are on Word documents, or manually approving every single thing, or anything where you think, oh, that feels administratively heavy for me. It probably is for your client as well. So you need to really be proactive in thinking, how can I make their life better as well as mine? And part of this is systems, but part of it is also about communication and boundaries. The minute we say, oh yeah, you can contact me, you could text me, you can WhatsApp me, you can email me, you can, let's have another meeting. That is a lot of energy for you trying to keep tabs on all of those places. So being so clear on how you will communicate, when you will meet, what the boundaries are you have around calls or meetings in between meetings as part of the project. This is really important that you set this out from the beginning, partly because then everybody's clear, and partly because it shows that you value your time and you've got a clear process. This is so reassuring to clients. You, I'm sure, will at some point come across or have come across clients who they want to control and they want to lead and they want to dominate. But actually, that often comes out when they don't feel safe. The more controlling behavior comes because they don't feel in control. And they don't feel in control because you haven't provided a level of service and clarity around how the process will work. So it's really about doing that up front. And this is the final foundational block that I want to share with you, which is you are a business leader first. Yes, you are a designer. Yes, you are running this business because you love designing. I really, really get that. And in your early stages of business, you will be doing an awful lot of designing. That is part of delivering your service, but you have to make the shift from thinking only about designing and client delivery to being the leader of a business. And that means constantly thinking about that visibility piece, lead generation, your customer journey. How can I make the experience better? It's having that awareness of yourself. Where am I holding myself back? Where am I self-sabotaging? Where am I had that great idea for a new service that I could launch. Oh, but it probably won't work. I won't even bother. I saw someone doing something similar, so I won't even try. All of that, it can feel rational in your mind, but it's self-sabotage. So having that awareness, okay, I recognize this is a pattern for me. I get scared of putting myself out there, or I get scared that I'll be disappointed, or I might be rejected, or if I've got this fear of judgment, I can see this pattern. How can I overcome this? Thinking about your energy. People come into business ownership because they don't love the demands of a 9-to-5 work, but then they end up in a business and they're working 17-hour days and, oh, I just need to do some work on the weekend, or let me just do a bit more on social media, or let me just. And suddenly the business that was your freedom and flexibility vehicle feels very, very unfreeing. So really understanding how you can play with your energy and put boundaries around yourself as well, and be disciplined with yourself and honor the season of life you're in. Yes, you're here to create something that's successful, but I want you to have a life as well. I really want you to enjoy your children, have holidays, be able to look after your parents, whatever the needs of your life are right now. Your business has to be set up to do that. And being a business leader really means being able to lead yourself again and again and again. Yes, when it's easy, when you get started, this business won't get off the ground if you don't lead yourself to set up a bank account and set up a Calendly so people can book appointments with you, for example. But even when it gets hard, you still have to lead yourself. When your competitor launches something that you think looks amazing and you think, oh, my business is going to fail. Or when that client says, yeah, I don't want to pay you. No, just I don't have the money. Or no, I don't think you've done all of the work. These things are going to happen. And being able to powerfully lead yourself through these situations is so much part of business ownership. Or often more than the strategy itself. Yes, you need the strategy, but you so need this inner game, this strength and this clarity and this personal power about what you're doing and where you're going, and that you are going there no matter what. Okay, I'm going to take questions in a moment. I hope you've got some really good ones for me, but let me give you a couple of thoughts on your next steps. So the first thing I really want you to do, from everything that I've talked about here today, what ideas has this sparked for you? I know that when we log off in 20 or so minutes time, you're going to have a million things that your clients or your work or your business or your family demand from you. Make sure you make time to just jot down what ideas, what inspiration you've taken, or what things you've realized, I need to work on this, I need to get this in place. Write them down. The second thing is, I may have spoken about things that you've realized, I can see that's a gap in my business. I can see that's a gap in my knowledge. I can recognize that's where I'm wobbling. That's where I'm holding myself back. Really recognize what those things are. So that is all I'm going to share. Let me stop sharing my screen. And let me go to Anna.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Perfect. Well, that was great. Thank you so much, Katy. A lot of content there. So we haven't had any questions come through just yet. So I've just put a message into the chat, everyone. So I think there's still a fair few of you guys online. So start putting your questions in the chat now. Okay, we've got one from Omar. I think this is specifically about the services you offer, Katy. Do you offer any one-on-one business advice sessions?
So I do not offer one-on-one coaching, and the reason for that is because the work that we do, it's a bigger piece of work. Like, what we can achieve in an hour often leaves you in a place where it's, okay, but I still need to do this, or I still need to do that. I don't like selling that kind of session, because I genuinely believe that the support that you often need in your business goes beyond just what we can actually do in 1 hour. So the reason I've structured the support and the programs in the way that I have is because I know that actually it's a lot more effective for you to get the specific knowledge about whether it's marketing, selling, your business model, this is aligned for growth, or whether it's, positioning is very much around your brand strategy. You're going to get that combination of knowledge, and also when it is a high proximity program like Aligned for Growth, we're meeting up over 4 months. So you can drop in and you'll have questions as we go through. And I find that my clients get so much more out of that than we meet on one day. It's, let me ask Katy a million questions. And then 3 weeks later, something's changed in your business and we no longer have that relationship. I do offer one-on-one coaching. It's a significantly higher investment. There's obviously a limited number of spots because there's only one of me, but I'm always happy to chat about that. So again, send me a DM, but I structure that as a 6-month commitment because, again, we go through everything in your business: marketing, selling, business model, services, pricing. You get a lot of bespoke, fully customized coaching.
Perfect. Okay, so next question we have here is one from Maureen. Is it wise to have any prices at all on your website?
Yes. So I'm looking at the chat and I can see I didn't know Shelley was on here. Hi, Shelley, and thank you for sharing that about Aligned for Growth. It's fabulous value for money. It truly is. So if anyone wants to ask Shelley anything, then she's here. Hi, Shelley. Yes. So I am a huge fan of creating the best buying experience. That's when we're thinking about our business in terms of we are service providers. And think of it yourself. When you go to buy something, I always think of it when I read the Sunday papers and I see that fabulous handbag and it says price on application. How annoying. And I immediately think, oh, well, it's probably too expensive for me. But what if it's not? And I just can't be bothered. I never want to apply. So if it's a service that has a fixed price, let's say it's a consultation, for example, why wouldn't you put that price on your website? Because they're going to find it out at some point, and it's so much better for them to find out up front than for you to have done a load of one-on-one work and conversation, tell them the price, and they go, oh, that's too much for me. What a waste of everybody's time. So usually when somebody asks the question about should I put prices on my website, it says to me that there is a confidence issue and a money mindset issue around, will people think I'm worth that? What if I want to panic discount because I'm not sure that someone will pay that? This says to me it's less about the price and less about the strategy and more about your conviction in your pricing. Now, that said, if it's a bespoke project, you don't know the price. So you can't put that on your website, but you can absolutely provide pricing guidance and give people an indication either through your website or in that initial information you're providing through your sales process. So the first time they receive the fee proposal after you've done a phone call and a site visit and spent a week writing a proposal, and you say, okay, here it is. And you go, oh, it's so much more expensive than I thought. That doesn't serve anybody. Your client probably feels embarrassed and you feel cross because you've spent all of that time. So prices upfront where you know them and where it's bespoke, pricing guidance.
Yeah, great points. We've had a few questions come through. I'm going to group two that specifically are linked to pricing. So pricing is a bit of a challenge. So do you have any advice on how to define pricing and also creating different level packages for different types of clients?
So what was did you say define pricing?
Yeah, so how I think that probably relates to like defining different services, like different levels of services.
Okay. So, yeah, as I chatted about in my presentation, I am a huge fan of having a business model that allows you to serve clients in different ways and gives them access to design services wherever they are at in their business. It's exactly the same in my business. I've talked about one-on-one coaching. I've talked about a high proximity coaching and mentoring program. I've talked about a much lighter touch investment around positioning. This works for your clients in so many ways because not everybody has £20,000 to spend on their home, but they just want a bit of help with styling. So having that business model is so important. And the way that I always approach pricing is, well, I'm going to say the way I approach pricing. This is a huge conversation, and I haven't even talked about it, but I have a specific program around pricing because it is such a big topic. But essentially, there are three components to pricing as far as I'm concerned. One of them is money mindset. You really have to work on all of those thoughts and feelings that are telling you they won't pay that much, that feels really expensive, who am I to charge that much, that designer's only charging this, so I should charge that. You need to be able to recognize where you're pulling yourself down with that and let go of all of it. You need to know the numbers in your business. So this is why whenever designers say, oh, well, that person's charging that much. Well, what do you know about their business? If you have a studio and a team and a large overhead, your pricing will probably look very different to somebody who works from their kitchen table and does e-design and has zero overhead. So knowing your numbers and knowing specifically what's going to be profitable for your business is essential. And we do this work in my pricing program. And the third part of it is pricing the value. So never pricing by the hour, never putting a time on it and, oh, we'll just run it for a bit. Whether it's a bespoke service or whether it's a fixed price service, it's allowing yourself to feel into what is the value of what I'm giving these people? What is this going to allow them to do or have in their lives or change for them? This is, yes, they might have more storage, but what does that mean for them and their kids? What does that mean for their sanity when they come home from work and everything's actually tidied away, or they can go to bed at night knowing that everything's in a place instead of it's a complete effing mess and it's everywhere? That is quite life-changing. So it's what is the value of the service plus you being there and hand-holding them through that, as opposed to just, oh, well, they've told me that they've only got $5,000 for this, so I have to make it $5,000. And it's pricing strategy is a big topic. It's why I have a whole program around it. But those are the three critical things I would say. I actually did a talk at Decorex last year specifically around this, where I talk more about those three things. If you're interested in it, send me a DM about that. I'll send you a link. It's on YouTube and you can hear me talk more about those things.
That sounds great. We have some questions relating to mindset now coming up. So the first one is, how do you or what can you do to really bring your energy back to a good place and push forward when things feel slow and hard? I guess that's really related to, you know, getting projects. And then also in relation to this, you know, feeling confident, maybe if you're a newer interior designer compared to people that have been in the game longer, any tips on how to, you know, keep going with that too?
Yeah, okay. If you are coming to Decorex in October, come and see my talk on Monday the 7th, because it's specifically about this kind of inner work that is so important to your success. But I was writing said talk yesterday, so let me share something because it's top of mind. Firstly, it's about you knowing what will keep you in your power, as opposed to being pulled and wobbled by the circumstances around you, because you will have clients who ghost you. You will have leads that you thought were super hot and super exciting just go cold. You will have projects fall away halfway through, or, oh, we can't afford to do this. You will have I don't mean to paint such a bleak picture, but you will have so many challenges in your business. And if every time you freak out and are like, oh, this isn't working for me, it may not work, but even if it does work, you're going to be miserable on the journey. So you really need to understand what is going to put you back in your power. And for me, it's very simple things. You know, I do yoga every morning. That's a big part of my routine. But honestly, the biggest thing is I go for a massive walk. Before I start my day, I get outside and I move and I think and I look at the sky, and it just keeps everything in perspective. You know, the world is big. We're not saving lives here. It's okay. And there's something about, for me, that forward motion. I'm walking, I'm moving forward. And it's the same in my business. Yes, this thing has happened. Yeah, that's not ideal. Yes, I'm disappointed, but also I'm going to keep moving forward. And just asking yourself the question, especially if you're a newer designer and it's, oh, I'm not sure what to do or what to be focusing on, is what can I control? What can I take? And often that will be around lead gen. Often there is something that you can do, an avenue you haven't explored, an opportunity that is there waiting, or something that's been in your mind and you've been feeling a bit scared to act on. Put on your favorite lift your energy playlist, or get out for a walk. Do whatever you need to do to lift your energy, and then think, I'm doing that thing. I'm making that phone call. I'm sending that email. I'm, refreshing my profile, whatever it is, lift your energy and do the thing.
Mm-hmm. Very, very wise words there. Definitely. I think putting things into perspective can help everyone with whatever they're facing, whatever they need to get done. So we have an interesting question here from Stefania, who says, I personally don't like using social media, but I understand it's important for my business to achieve visibility. Any advice of how to navigate that?
Okay, Stefania, drop in the chat for me, please. Where are your clients? And the reason I'm asking you this is because I had somebody inside Aligned for Growth who said to me, Katy, I must, I've been running ads, I've been trying ads on Instagram and they're not getting any traction. And I said, but you're a high-end, very high-end luxury resi designer. She does chalets and she does high-end properties in London. Where are your clients? She said, oh, they're mostly on LinkedIn. Why are you running ads on Instagram? So, oh, okay, cool. But the reason I'm asking you specifically about this is, if your clients aren't there, and I've had quite a new designer in this position as well, exactly the same. I hate Instagram. Well, are your clients on there? No. Okay, then don't feel any pressure. I can see Shelley saying you must use. Shelley is a master of Instagram. Shelley, you should drop your handle because your Instagram is fantastic. But I really think it's important to honor where you are at and ask yourself genuinely, are my clients there? If they are, if the answer is they are all on Instagram, this is the answer for me. All of my clients are on Instagram. Everyone, interior designers are. Therefore, I will be. So what can I do to make it work for me? And there are so many parameters or controls you can put around it. You can outsource elements, but I genuinely think that when you're in a growth stage of business, nobody knows your business and your vibe and your marketing better than you do. So first thing I would check is this relevant for you? Are your clients definitely on there? And if they are, then, what is the sort of platform, or which ways do I need to be engaging with them? If they are, then it is, how do I make this work for me? And that will often be about the boundaries that you set for yourself around how you use it. Personally, for me, if I had my absolute wish, would I be on social media at all? Probably, but I would engage with it. I wouldn't put as much energy and effort into it as I currently do, but my business is in a growth stage, just like all of yours are. And it's really important to me that my brand and my marketing is very reflective and representative of me, because like you guys, your clients are buying into you just as much as they're buying a service. They can get that service in many other places. So they're buying into you, and social media is a very unique, mostly free opportunity to convey who you are and your vibe on your terms. So think about, the question I'd be asking is, what feels detrimental to your mental health? And if your clients are on there, what can you change about the way you interact with it that makes it feel more aligned?
Definitely. I also think as well with social media, you can be strategic with it and, plan out your posts so you're not necessarily on it every day, 7 days a week. So that's something to think about as well. Okay, we are slightly over, but I think if everyone's okay, we can go through the last couple of questions. We've still got quite a few of you online, which is great. Okay, so I think so. We've got some questions here. Another question about pricing from Irina. So it's quite specific. What is the most common approach when you work with FF&E as an agent for your client when giving trade discounts to your clients? Do you charge a percentage, let's say 10%, or an hourly rate for doing that?
So I'll give you a straight answer, Irina. Most common approach that I see is passing on trade and then adding a markup. And that markup can range anything from 10 to, I've seen 30, 35, even sometimes 40%. Some designers will tier it. So you'll tend to get a much more generous trade discount on fabrics than you will on lighting, for example. So often there'll be, and if you're buying very expensive artworks, it might be more like a 5% markup. But that is the most common approach I see. Pass on your trade discount, markup. You will find people with different schools of thought. There will be someone who will say, do not pass on your trade discount at all. It is your discount. That is where your profit lies. That is cool. You can do that, but you have to do it knowing you will be less competitive in the marketplace. But if you are so strong on your positioning, then you may still have clients go, I don't care that that's your way. I just want to work with you. That's the place you want to get to, is that the price and your pricing model, same with procurement, is irrelevant, because it's so important to your client to work with you. That if you can get to that place and that's all about your positioning, the pricing becomes less of a factor. But you have the other school of thought, which is pass on full trade discount and charge a decent design fee and then give them your entire trade discount. My personal view is you're leaving money on the table with that. You just are, because clients, you have that initial upfront, whatever the fee is, they'll go, oh gosh, it's a bit more than I thought it would be. Even when you've provided pricing guidance, they need to settle into it and get their head around it. Remember, it's a bespoke service. It's not an inconsequential pint of milk service. So there's this kind of, okay, I'm prepared to make this investment. If you are doubling or tripling that because you're then going to not take any money on the procurement, that's a lot more of a leap for your client to make. Even if you've illustrated for them, yeah, but you'll save money here and here, they can't see that yet. They don't understand it yet. It feels too intangible. So the most common approach I see, it was certainly the model in my business. If I was still running big projects now, it's exactly the model that I would have.
Okay. Carla says, I've had a few clients not go through me or not allow me to supply. So I think that means when they've specified for the project and then Carla hasn't been able to supply the furniture. And she's wondering if she gives too much information in her design spec.
I mean, I'm wondering about by design spec if you mean fee proposal. For me, this is a tricky one because it's quite a hard one to contractually enforce a client to not go behind your back and purchase things. But I would certainly set very clear standards in that early conversation, that it's not an open thing. It's not a, oh, if you want me to do the procurement, then I can. It's, this is how we work. So it's so clear. And that starts with your marketing. You know, this is why I love the platform that we have on through social media, because you can start setting all of these standards in your marketing. You can write an entire post or a blog post or something around why you supply for your clients, all the benefits they get, how much easier their lives are. No client likes sitting up at 11 o'clock at night, emailing back and forward with a supplier and trying to negotiate delivery dates. Nobody wants to do that. But at the beginning or even midway through, they think, okay, I can save a bit of money doing this. By the time they're knee deep in purchase orders, they will not be enjoying this. So how can you paint that picture for them at the beginning and set the standard that this is how I work with my clients? This is when I take on a client and when we provide a full service means that we supply. And you will have access, this is if we're going on the model I've just talked about, but you'll have access to my trade discounts, and we add a handling fee for doing so. But you need to sell them on the value of that to avoid them trying to go behind your back. And the clearer you are, we talk about this a lot in my pricing program, but the clearer you are on what that means for you and your clients, the easier it is for you to sell it, and the less likely, not completely foolproof, but less likely you are to end up in this position.
That's such a good point about being clear on why it's valuable for you as the designer to handle that process and take that away from the client. Just positioning your value. Yeah, definitely what Katy's been talking about today. Also on that note, Carla, if you are using the House Pro tools, such as the Clipper and selections, you can actually edit the names of things and remove links, put in your own photos. So you can, in a way, anonymize, to a certain extent where this is from. And that does kind of help with that. Some clients do want to control, the purchasing. And then for some of our clients, they want to send their client a shopping list. So, you can really control the level of information you're giving. So make sure you're clear with your value proposition and also how you want to present that to the client. Okie dokie. So we've got, I think, one or two more. So we had quite an interesting question here. So it was from someone who is an interior designer, but they have they run a business installing solar panels and things like that. And they want to know your tips on how to kind of get in there with more interior designers and create more of a network. So do you have any networking tips about kind of making sure that we can collaborate across different professional types?
To be honest, it's very similar to what we've talked about through the presentation today, which is that clarity on who you're here to serve. Yes, interior designers, but, which ones, what kind of projects, where are they? Really getting that clarity on that. I don't know a huge I know a couple. I've done a quote for a client on solar panels that very quickly they went, oh no, that's going to be too difficult and too much. But it's not an industry I know a huge amount about, but having that clarity on what are the services? Is it all bespoke? If so, what does that look like? How do you tier the budget and, have the levels of investment that clients might end up spending? Being able to give that with clarity, as much clarity as you can to a designer, that's so helpful. Often an interior designer will either be in the position of coordinating the budget altogether, or they will be feeding into a budget and just having that understanding of, okay, the client really does want solar panels, or this is something we're going to do. What are we talking about? So being able to provide some, it's never helpful to anyone going, oh, well, it would be bespoke. What does that mean? So that pricing guidance. And And then again, once you know exactly the kind of area and who you're looking to target, it's making those relationships. Where are those designers? If, you know, for me, the reason that I love talking about Decorex and masterclasses like this is because it means I can connect with everybody who I'm here to serve. So what are the platforms that would be relevant for you, that would get you in front of those? It may be that something similar. Who are the people who have or share your audience where you can come and provide value and educate? I've got a client at the moment, a private client, who is doing a project involving solar panels. And this was really daunting for her at the beginning. It's like, I don't know how to do this. I said, well, you need a consultant. This is who you're going to bring on. So just being able to be a steady point of contact and educate people and say, this is how you would do it. This is when you have to start thinking about it in the project. Find those opportunities, lead with value, and make it really easy for people to work with you.
Great. Okay. And then we've got one more. I think that's fine. We've got time for one more. So Leanne says, is there such a thing as a design service that's too comprehensive? So she gives a little story here about offering realistic renders, and clients have asked her to create new renders in order to choose the toilet flush plates, because they've got really reliant on renders. So do you have any advice about kind of anything making things too comprehensive, perhaps maybe even too time consuming?
There's a few things in your question that I want to pick up on. One is that it's really important that you honor your creative process. So if part of what you do is that going down all of that detail, you know, every single tiny detail, that is part of being a designer. That's actually providing an incredible service, but that has to come at a price. So that's not too detailed for a service that's priced to have that level of detail. It's definitely too detailed for a really light touch service where it's, you know, here's a shopping list, here's the thing that I recommend you have, and that's the end of the conversation on it. You know, it is definitely too detailed to go down all of those routes. If the client, oh, okay, well, I didn't like that choice. Could you come up with another one? Oh, okay, here you go. And there's no payment for that. So the level of detail you go to should be commensurate with the price that you're charging. And what I would absolutely say is it's finding that ideal client who really loves and values the detail that you will put into things. A lot of people aren't super detail oriented or don't have the time or the bandwidth or the knowledge to do that. And if you can do that, that's a huge part of what you're selling. And it's really owning that and being clear about that. The other thing I did just want to pick up on, though, is sometimes we can go into huge amounts of detail because it's driven by perfectionism, because we just think, if I just do another mood board, if I just pick another option, or if I just adjust the spacing on this just a bit more before I present it. And that's where it's not serving us. We have to have that awareness of, where am I going way beyond the parameters of this service, what is realistic, what is efficient, and what is still a great job, because let me get this the right way around. My 100% is any other normal person's like 200%, because I'm so good at the detail. I could do 70% and it would still be an amazing job for somebody. Where do you need to recognize that I'm going into too much detail because I'm being driven by this need for it to be perfect, need to prove, need to have everything just so? That can be too detailed, and that can hold you back. And I think that's a question for you to reflect on in the way that you're doing things.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Katy, thank you so much. I've really, really enjoyed the session today. Thank you so much for your insight. And yeah, you provided so much insight to our professional community. And I think there's a lot of takeaways here. So yeah, thank you so much for joining or for presenting.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you so much for having me. I've really, really enjoyed being here with you guys this afternoon. Just a reminder, if you want to follow up on anything, just DM. Let me put it straight in the chat. So DM house to design _align. Did that work?
I don't think, did you want to put your details in the chat?
Yeah. Failed.
It's okay. I've actually got your website up, so I'm going to pop that into the chat anyway, and we can get that in there. So yes, thank you everyone for joining as well. It's been a brilliant session. Oh yeah, Katy, over to you again.
Yeah, no, just I've put it there. So DM house to my Instagram. All the links, everything I've talked about is there. And if you're not sure what the right step for you would be, then we can have that conversation as well. And I'm really happy to provide the information you need.
Amazing. Okay. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining, and take care. Have a lovely rest of your days, and we hope to see you at another one soon. Bye, everyone. Bye.